right, guys, today we get to talk about super exciting stuff. Yay for World War II headed to us. Very interesting content. All right, let's do this. Okay, so we just left the Great Depression. The world is sitting in a state of, very vulnerable, and people are willing to do kind of whatever to get jobs back to be able to feed their family. Remember, that's one of the greatest needs, feeding everybody. And when there isn't enough food, people freak the crap out. All right, let's look at a couple places that freak out. Here we go. All right, so after World War One, okay, and due to the Great Depression, you're going to have a couple countries turn to a dictator because they're used to a dictator. Okay, so circle that word, totalitarianism. Okay, this is when you got these couple guys over here on the right. Anybody know who these guys are? Oh, I bet you know one of them. Hopefully, you know both of them. All right, Hitler, of course. Then the shorter guy is Benito Mussolini. And so they are going to take control of everything. Okay, totalitarianism, total control. You, if you're under his control, you have no natural rights. You have no say. You have nothing. And look at that. You are a servant of the state. They're going to do this through taking over everything, burning all books that don't promote their ways, and then using books, movies, radio, and even getting into the brains of children to promote their philosophies. All right, here we go. All right, so this is the type of government these two guys are going to use in Italy and Germany. So fascism is on the political spectrum. If you remember us doing this a couple of weeks ago, political spectrum, we got that middle ground where most people stand. In America, most people are in that middle, that moderate range between the right-sided Republicans, the left-leaning Democrats. But if you go to the right side, okay, if you go further from the Republicans, you get to the conservatives. If you go well past the conservatives, they're not right next door, okay, well past the conservatives, you get to fascism, okay? Keep in mind, if you go well past the Democrats, you get to socialism, you get to communism. Both have their extremes, okay? And so the deal is fascism has this dictator, okay? That aggressive nationalism where you're really willing to do whatever it takes to keep your nation or your nationality, okay, or your race the best. And then also the state has absolute control. The thing that's a little bit different about fascism and socialism, because I know it sounds kind of similar to communism as well, is that the government doesn't necessarily own business. So people get to own businesses to a certain extent. They're highly regulated, but they do get to own business. All right, so this is what happens in Italy, okay? So Italy after World War One. Okay, keep in mind that they start off World War One on the bad side, okay, Central Power side. In the middle of the war, they change sides, okay? So at the end of the war, they don't get a ton of stuff. And so they're going to sink into that Great Depression pretty quickly because just economies are inflamed. Everything is ridiculous. So because they're in debt because of the war, they're having high taxes, there's so much unemployment, people are freaking out. And so these fascists come in, okay, with the hopes of gaining power and then promise to save their economy. They also hate communism in Italy, okay? They hate communism in Germany as well. It's really interesting. They see what's happened to Russia during World War One. We'll talk more about that later this week. They see what's happened to Russia. Russia, has left. Lenin has taken over. Communism has come in. But the fascists promise to not bring in communism, okay? They're going to save the economy. They're going to get you the land. They're going to get you the food. They're going to get you the job. It's going to be great, okay? And so you start to see pretty much everybody in the hopes of saving their society, kind of leaning toward fascism. There's also this thing about Italians, this thought that the greatness we once were, we have got to get back to. And so you see the fascists really think that because they got screwed over in World War One, or they think they did, but the deal is they switch sides in the middle. Can we really trust them? Okay, because they didn't get much at the end of the war. They didn't get a lot of land from the Germans that had to give up everything. They feel like they want more. Okay, they also, of course, want to restore that Roman Empire, that very Italian idea. Okay, so the government that was set up after World War One is pretty weak. They just don't have it. I would circle that. They don't have a tradition of democracy. I mean, natural rights, the Enlightenment, do we ever talk about that with Italy? No, okay? Remember, they're so close to the Pope being in control of everything. They don't have that history of democracy, okay? And so why would they defend it at all? And so this guy comes in, this bully, okay? Growing up, Benito Mussolini is this bully, and he is just kind of a mean guy. It's really interesting. At sometimes throughout his early childhood, he'll promote communism. Sometimes he's against communism. I don't know. He stabbed a teacher in school. They like expel him. He comes back to be a teacher for a while. It's ridiculous. Anyway, okay, let's keep going. So he's super ambitious. He's kind of determined to win no matter what, even if he has to change sides. And so once that fascist party is created, he's going to kind of lead this group because he thinks he can gain power through this. So he has a group of people that support him, the black shirts. Okay, so they're these his private military band, and they're going to use violence to kind of beat down anybody that doesn't agree with him. Okay, so he's going to come in, excuse me, and in 1922, okay, so this is pretty early, right? This is pretty close to the end of World War One, okay, that ended in 1918. And so Victor Emmanuel III, okay, is ruling, and he is the king. And just because of that tradition of the monarchies, the absolute monarchies, that tradition of it being passed through the bloodline, he's just not this strong leader, okay? He is the king because his dad was the king, all right? It's not because he earned it, okay? And so when Mussolini comes in and he's marching with his black shirts, he's going to claim that he's going to throw this coup d'etat, all right, and overthrow the government and that he's strong and powerful. But actually, Victor Emmanuel III kind of just steps down, lets Mussolini come in. They set up a new government. Mussolini becomes dictator. It was actually quite peaceful. But Mussolini is going to claim that it happened all through violence. Now, granted, it was this threat of violence. Okay, so under Mussolini, and you can see how long his reign will last, 22 to 43. Okay. So he's going to die before the end of the war. His death is pretty gruesome. I'm excited to talk about it with you. But he sets up his title Il Duce. Okay, it's not Lil Deuce, all right? But he's going to take control of the fascist party. The fascist party is going to lead in Italy. Of course, people don't have civil liberties. Why would they? Okay, he's a dictator. Come on, all right? Reclaiming to bring back the Roman Empire, and Italy is behind him for a while. Okay, their economy is actually going to come out of the Great Depression pretty quickly. Let me tell you why. So you see that third little bullet, set up more armament plants. Circle that. Okay. So the deal is he's going to give people jobs, government jobs, building and building and building an arsenal. Okay. And so, of course, they're going to come out of a Great Depression pretty quickly. If you're building enough tanks, if you're building enough guns, hello, everybody has a job, right? He creates Italian efficiency. I just think it's hilarious. Like they claim he made the trains run on time. And I'm like, oh God, that's so like, why wouldn't the trains run on time? What's wrong with y'all? Okay. Anyway, okay, so he sets up some efficiency. People are feeling great. They got money in their pocket. They have food in their bellies. Pretty much what the people want. Okay. They do have some militarism. I mean, look at these children. Okay, they have some fascist youth groups. Okay, now granted, men, you're gonna serve. You're gonna be drafted. Okay, it's not like a mandated all men serve. But if you're drafted, then 4 years of service, 11 years in the reserve. But they're just building and building and building weapons. And then of course, like look at this picture. These are just like babies. Okay, infiltrating brains when you're really young, maybe brainwashing some children to believe in the fascist beliefs. Because he brings order, because he solves unemployment, because he's promising to bring back Rome, Italy is going to stand behind him pretty solidly. All right, so let's talk about Germany. Okay, so Germany gets a little weird. Okay, so after World War One, they're really suffering. They have a government set up for them called the Weimar Republic. Okay, yay, Republic. We love that. The people get a say. You get representation. It's going to be fantastic. Who wouldn't love that? All right. They get a president. He is kind of weak. Okay. He is elected by the people, but they also have a chancellor. Okay. Now, what's really interesting here is that the chancellor is the powerful leader. Okay. And it is elected by the majority party. Okay. So here's the deal: the Reichstag is the Senate. Okay. It's the parliament. And whoever is the majority party in the Reichstag, they get to elect the chancellor. Okay, so your whole goal for power is to get the majority party, okay, political party in the Reichstag to vote for you. Okay, so this guy right here, President Hindenburg, is going to be there. He'll come in right after the war. He's set up by the Treaty of Versailles. Everybody's feeling great, okay? But the thing is, Treaty of Versailles screws Germany over so badly, all right? It leaves them super weak. It leaves them blamed for everything. And so you're going to start to see this group pop up, okay? And so you start to see fascism in the form of the National Socialist Party, okay? So the Nazi Party is going to come in. And interestingly enough, this is a fascist organization. They hate communism, okay, because they don't want to turn out like Russia. But they think democracy is very US, okay, it's very Western. They don't want that either. And so they want this dictatorship. They want to get out of this economic distress. I mean, think about this. They're having to pay for all these war payments. I mean, look at that, 35 billion. And remember, the US is going to try and help them with the dolls plane. It just didn't work out very well. But I mean, look at this picture. This guy is sweeping up paper money. People always think if you just print and print and print more money, it's going to fix everything. It'll be fine. But no, it leads to, that's right, inflation. Okay. I mean, look at this, 4 trillion marks to equal a dollar. That's ridiculous. Okay. I think it took like, that means it takes like over 4 trillion marks to buy a loaf of bread. Okay. That's insane. And so everybody's unemployed. And the Nazis really are going against this democracy, going against capitalism. The Great Depression really makes people question capitalism. Okay, so again, just like Italy, they're against the communist. Okay, they don't have that tradition of democracy. I mean, remember Otto von Bismarck and the Kaisers. Okay, they're the ones who unified Germany, that confederacy that's been around for so long. Hello, Prussia. Okay, they just don't have that democratic tradition. Whew, the Nazis also, that appeal to nationalism is going to sink in pretty quickly. Okay, so the deal is they are just so upset about the Treaty of Versailles that they're in their feelings. They hate that their colonies have been ripped from them. They don't have any armaments. They feel like they've been stabbed in the back by everybody. What's really interesting is, why on earth would they have been stabbed in the back by Jews? Well, here's the deal. Like, all of Germany is suffering, right? They're in this Great Depression, sinking lower and lower and lower. Well, interestingly enough, you have a chunk of Jewish people that own some banks, okay? Whew. And so when you see a group of people not suffering as badly as everybody else, and that group of people just happens to be of the Jewish race, it's really easy to blame some people, to think that they're not giving money back to the country. Ooh. And so, hello, scapegoat. Okay. Plus, they hate the communists, those crazy Russians. There you go. So, yay for this powerful, hopeful German empire coming is what they want. I mean, it's what they've always wanted. Like, think about Otto von Bismarck, this promise to pretty much take over Europe. They want that. So, enter Adolf Hitler. Okay, so eventually he'll start to lead the Nazi Party. He is from Austria. Isn't that interesting? Not really German. Okay. A failed artist, so he tried to enter a Jewish art school and wasn't good enough. So, again, all up in his feelings. Okay. He does serve in World War I. Pretty good, all right? He is a fantastic speaker. He is so organized. He is so with it. For him to have been able to do what he did, he has to be one of the most ridiculously with it people ever. Okay, I mean, think about this. Like, when you look at pictures like this, like the mass scale of his rallies, like, why is everybody wearing the colors? I mean, like, it's crazy, okay? The organization, the speeches, everybody gets behind it. It's insane. Well, let's go back in time a little bit, okay? So it's 23. It's not too far after World War I, and the Nazis are going to try and come in and get rid of the Weimar Republic. So they throw a coup d'etat in a beer hall. It's called the beer hall. Oh, if I could talk, beer hall push. Okay, well, it failed. All right, Hitler is arrested, goes to jail for a year. While he's in jail, he's like, I got a great idea. Okay, it's what everybody does, right? I'm going to write a book. So he writes a book called Mein Kampf, My Struggle. Okay, yeah, his struggle. All right. And in this, he's going to blame the Jews. Okay, blames the commies. All right, for why they lost World War One. He wants this master race. Anybody know what the master race is? The Aryan race. That's right. Okay, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, uh, crazy. Okay, he also thinks that the Germans need Lebensraum. Okay, living space that he needs to expand. Another group that really thinks this right now is the Japanese, and we'll talk about that soon. Okay, sorry, are we back? Hold on, let me see.